Excellent question. I was born a rich white boy in Knoxville, Tennessee, about half a century ago. I figure I've got another half a century to figure out who I am, where I'm going, maybe even after I get there. First sip of homebrew beer, some kind of Canadian lager. Can't quit my day job at Pellissippi. Still got a way to go, but I'd like to try brewing some healing herbal beers. So where have I been? Been to a bunch of colleges. You could say I'm a flunky or persistent, whichever way you want to look at it. Been going to college about 30 years, still don't have a degree. Of course, Bill Gates never went to college, didn't have a degree. Henry Ford never got a degree. A lot of wealthy people never got a degree. Successful, happy people. So we'll see how that goes. I like going to school. It's a lot easier than working. A lot less stress. Been in the military 4 years. Working on supersonic bombers over in Europe for the United States Air Force. One of the missions I worked on murdered the daughter of the president of one of our allies, Libya, back in 1986, Operation El Dorado Canyon. It's what's called a false flag operation. Israeli Mossad was broadcasting a clandestine, illegal, pirate radio broadcast from Tripoli in Libya, speaking the Libyan language, whatever that is, and pretending to be terrorists, planning a terrorist attack. U.S. Special Forces actually went into Libya and rescued President Gaddafi before the U.S. jets attacked. This is according to Dr. Stoney Merriman, PhD, Chief of Public Affairs for the United States Marine Corps at the Pentagon, who was later editor of the newspaper in Carthage, Tennessee, Al Gore's hometown. Dr. Merriman said, "You wouldn't believe what really goes on at the Pentagon. U.S. Special Forces rescued Gaddafi the day of the American attack in order to prevent, quote, an international incident if other visiting dignitaries happen to be killed." Obviously, the U.S. Air Force pilots were not told this. The RAF pilots were probably not told this. 2 American F-111 pilots were killed during the attack because the attack was run by George Bush Sr. out of the White House rather than by the Pentagon. And in order to have a big dog and pony show for TV, he had the jets keep going in after the Libyan defenses were up. So one of them got shot down. That was before stealth fighters existed, supposedly. Before they were used in combat anyway. Another part of my job for the United States government was controlled demolition of active U.S. military bases in highly populated areas, specifically RAF Upper Heyford in England, which is right 10 miles away from Oxford and 40 or 50 miles away from London. And my job was to simultaneously detonate every nuclear bomb on the base, probably 100 of them at once. And we would put C4 shaped charges on each nuke, run the det cord out, wire it all up, practice blowing it up. These were live nukes on live American jets, tactical nuclear weapons, 1,000-pound bombs in the Victor Alert area. All the bombs in the bomb dump would get the same treatment. This was supposedly in case of a communist invasion and we had to retreat. Now, they never gave us any training on actually doing the evacuation. So you kind of, after you read something like Operation Northwoods from the Pentagon, declassified in 2000, you realize you can't believe or trust anything these orders came from. And the orders to blow up the base would have come from NATO. That's who was running the so-called war game. American government had no control over those foreign bases. One of my bosses, Senior Master Sergeant Morrow, we were doing a loadout on the nukes one day, the live nukes for a Salty Nation war game for NATO. And he had his head in his hands and he said, "My God, the bombs are not targeted at communist Russia, they're targeted at West Germany. That's where our troops are located, that's our ally." Now, part of the war plan under Reagan and Bush at the time was to absorb a Russian attack and not retaliate against Russia. Now, what kind of defense is that? It came out later that the United States was extorting West Germany to control their government. West Germany was never allowed, just like Japan, never allowed to have an independent government after World War II. They were too powerful against the bankers. And so they had to be kept down forever. Those are the two most industrious nations on the planet. Probably the two most intelligent civilizations on the planet as far as getting things done, organizing, teamwork, that sort of thing. So my job was to nuke West Germany, kill the German politicians, kill the German police, kill the German people, kill any American troops that happened to be there. That's what we were practicing to do. Controlled out of NATO and Belgium. But not all military people obviously agree with that. The way you mind control a soldier is to lie to them. The same thing works against the citizens. Tell them lies. That's something I learned in the military. The most basic form of mind control is lies. Propaganda, disinformation, misinformation. We would get, quote, top secret briefings in the military. It makes you feel real special when you've only been in a year or two. They sit you down in a you feel like you're in the White House Situation Room. They sit you down no matter what your rank, roll out this dog and pony PowerPoint demonstration, and feed you a bunch of crap, a bunch of lies, a bunch of bullshit. And you know, they would tell us a false history of the world. But anybody who exercises due diligence can quickly figure out, thanks to books and the internet, a few magazines, that what the sheeple are told is not the reality. If you can't bribe somebody because they're, quote, too honest, you just feed them a bunch of lies. That's how you control them. That's how the military is controlled. Young and dumb, that's how they want you, working for the government. Now, eventually you will see the truth. And if you're corrupt, you'll stay in, keep working in it. Maybe lie to yourself that you're a good person, that you're not going to go along with the bad stuff. Well, you are going along with it. You're collecting a paycheck to keep your mouth shut. Now, I joined the military to go to England to drive race cars, which after a year or so I was able to do. I lived in England for 8 years and drove race cars on television every weekend, racing against some of the highest paid athletes in the world today. They're still on TV making millions of dollars in Formula One, winning the Indy 500. Some of them are highly disabled now or dead.
With the quality of competition quite clear, round 3 at Thruxton drew a big bank holiday crowd. But tragically, the race was going to take the life of Marcel Albert's. It had begun in fairly routine fashion, with an engine change required on Albert's car from the Alan Docking racing team. He'd qualified on the front row of the grid alongside Gilles de Ferran. A classic race was in prospect, and Albert's made the better start. Viewed from de Ferran's car, Albert's was out in front and controlling the race, the position and style in which he'd wish to be remembered. A later mistake, though, dropped him back and into a battle with his teammate Elton Julian. And when the two cars touched on the approach to the chicane, Albert's car was launched off the track and he died from his injuries. Tragedies like this are thankfully becoming rare in British motorsport, but they still hit hard. And when the championship reconvened for the next round at Brands Hatch, it was Jackie Stewart who expressed the feelings of the teams.
Unfortunately, a tragedy of that magnitude sets everybody back, not only the other drivers but the team members and of course spectators and enthusiasts alike. I have to say, having been very much involved over the years, sadly with losing many friends, that one just has to recognise that the only compensation that you can ever consider in such an occasion is that Marcel Albert's was doing exactly what he wanted to do most in life. He had an enormous passion for motorsport. He loved driving. That was his life. And sadly, it was that same passion, if you like, that took life away. But he was doing what he wanted to do.
Gilles de Ferran had been declared the winner of the abandoned Thruxton race.
The subdued atmosphere at Brands Hatch is heightened by the depressing weather. Grey skies, rain, slippery tarmac, less grip, heavy spray and reduced visibility. The battle for second continues. They're easing away from Philippe Adams in 4th position on towards the end of the lap. Now there are the gaps. You can see them for yourself, and somebody off. That's Andre Ribeiro. Not a happy season for Gilles de Ferran's teammate, and he doesn't look at all happy. He didn't finish at Donington. He crashed in practice at Silverstone, 9th at Thruxton, and now out here at Brands Hatch. Very demoralising. And 2 off. That's Goossen's car on the left. He's been joined by James Taylor, and still Gilles de Ferran can't do anything about Denise in front of him as they go round Hawthorns. They're starting to lap now. John Lee, 33, in the red car. Now, this could be Gilles de Ferran's opportunity, because if Denise is held up by the American, number 33 in the red car, and indeed he has been, and de Ferran closes right out. They both go past Lee. De Ferran attacks Denise and fails to get through. Now, this is a terrific scrap that's developing for second place, and it's giving, of course, Kelvin Burt the opportunity to pull away all the time. Because de Ferran and Denise are getting in each other's way. Paradoxically, they're slowing each other up. 140 miles an hour as they complete the lap. As Kelvin Burt goes into the start and finish straight, there's his board. It tells him 2 laps to go. Takes that 10th position back again, and Arnold loses it. Oh, he's going to hit them. Straight into Taylor's car and Goossen's. He's not going to be at all popular when he gets back.